Hey everyone, welcome back to Integrative Psychonautics. My name is Dave, and in today's video, we are going to be discussing something I haven't seen anyone else talk about really at any length, which is psychedelics and flow states. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so before we go ahead and kind of dive into talking a little more about this, just a couple things here. First of all, I am starting to make an intention with myself and with this channel and what I'm discussing here to start talking more about the resourceful, empowering, liberating, healing, blissful side of psychedelics, because I think that's a little underrepresented in my content. And I think, generally when you start to get into the psychedelic therapy side of the discussion, which is kind of how I'm angling a lot of this communication with you guys, it tends to veer towards talking about problems, because therapy is generally oriented around problems, right? So I want to start to counterbalance that with more information about how to access feeling good and how to use feeling good from psychedelics in a truly transformative, healing, therapeutic way. And so this topic is kind of under that banner, shall we say. So I wanted to talk a bit about psychedelics and flow state. For anyone who's not familiar, there is a whole experience that human beings have, a whole category of experience called flow states, which you may have experienced at some point in your life. A lot of us do. And there was kind of a fad, maybe 8 years ago, talking about flow states a lot. It was kind of a hot topic in the kind of personal development psychology world. And there was a bunch of studies, and there's a great book that came out by a therapist called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, which I highly recommend, called Flow. Which kind of details a bunch of the studies around flow states. And essentially, flow states are these states that we get into of kind of peak performance, where there's kind of common features of absolute effortlessness. Things just flow. We are more on point. We make snap, decisions and responses that are effortless and graceful and elegant and transcendent. We tend to find that time feels like it slows down and there's more space to think and act and function and move. The words are right there. Our body does the right thing. The moment kind of aligns into this beautiful, effortless kind of expression of excellence, you could say. And generally, people find these experiences, you could call it being in the zone, in the flow states, peak performance. It's kind of the same area we're talking about here. And generally, people find that flow states are, first of all, one of the most healing experiences we can have. I think this is important. This is going to go in another video I'm going to talk about, which are some of the most important aspects of psychology that you need to know about to really heal and transform your life that you probably don't know about. And flow state is one of those elements. Not only is it deeply healing to the nervous system, to the neurology, to the body, but it's also deeply rewarding and fulfilling. So they find that people who have a lot of flow in their lives tend to be happier on average and more fulfilled and feel like life is profoundly rewarding and fulfilling. So flow is this absolutely powerful, profound experience that if you've never experienced before is almost shocking. You feel kind of superhuman. You feel effortless, and people can have this in all kinds of different areas. Often, obviously sports are going to be an obvious place where people have flow. Playing an instrument is another obvious example, but there's also more subtle examples of it, like conversation, for example, can be a flow state, or for some people, thinking or doing something like, maybe someone who's really into math, who's a mathematician and it's their strong suit. They go in a flow state when they're problem solving. There could be different areas where we experience flow. Video games are another obvious one for a lot of people. And so psychedelics and flow. I do think, I don't think I know, because I've experienced it a bunch of times, that psychedelics can be a source of flow for you. Psychedelics can teach you what it feels like to operate kind of firing on all cylinders, where everything's working and moving, your brain, your body, go from being, it's odd because when we're new to psychedelics or it's early in the journey and you've just taken it and your body's still acclimating to it, there's kind of a sense of physical misalignment or discombobulation, and you can't function that well, and words are kind of awkward and weird, and walking or standing or body orientation or functioning, doing anything can be really strange and weird and uncomfortable or confusing or like a lot, basically. Oddly enough, though, once you acclimate, whether that's through doing psychedelics regularly enough, and again, I'm not advocating you do a lot of psychedelics, but just saying this is kind of an emergent property that comes from familiarity, or if, further in the journey, once your body's kind of and your neurology's kind of lined up with it and gotten used to it and gotten in the flow and in the swing of things, people find this is very common that they function better, that they're sharper, that the words come easier, that they're wittier, that they're funnier, that they're more relaxed. They find that their body is more sharper, so it's more responsive. A lot of people learn how to do new physical things in breakthrough moments on psychedelics. I've had this with dancing. I've had this with playing my guitar and playing instruments. I've had this with yoga. There's a lot of things you can learn that are physical, that are kind of breakthrough moments of flow that happen on psychedelics. So I do think psychedelics can be excellent teachers of flow. I do think even sitting there meditating on a psychedelic, because meditation is also a source of flow state, can be its own flow, its own experience of flow. So even a very kind of what would seem like a non-physical passive form of using your body can be also a form of flow state and be profoundly rewarding and deeply pleasurable and just juicy with aliveness, right? And so yeah, this is there are a lot of ways that we can use psychedelics. This is part of this bigger conversation that I want to start building here on the channel of how we can use psychedelics to develop resource states inside ourselves, because this is near and dear to my heart. This is kind of it almost looks like maybe a modality that's kind of emerging, that I'm kind of slowly developing, at least a whole other perspective on how to work with yourself for healing and transformation, and work with psychedelics inside of that context. And so the emphasis shifts from resolving issue to developing strengths, developing capacities, developing emotional capacities, cognitive capacities, and just overall well-being and these robust states of positive experience, right? And so inside of that context, I think flow is immensely valuable, whether it's on a psychedelic or not. If you get good at a sport, or you find that you're good at talking and you like being social and you hit flow that way, however you hit flow, I would encourage you to pursue it on a regular basis as part of your mental health. It's part of your self-maintenance, getting ahead of myself talking here, as part of what is going to help you feel connected to you and help you feel connected to the highest expression of what your body and your mind and your nervous system is capable of doing. It's really a profound moment when you blow yourself away and you are operating beyond all your known expectations of yourself. And it's like on point and effortless and fluid. And yeah, it's the most amazing feeling. And I do think that psychedelics can facilitate that. And I do think that flow is an important part of the recipe of mental health, of a good life, of well-being, and of personal development, quite frankly, and something you should be pursuing. And I do think psychedelics, are useful as a tool towards that. So I guess that's really my point here, kind of repeating myself a little bit, but I hope this makes sense. Yeah, it's the intersection there is amazing and profound. And, obviously, if you just look at like some of the musicians who have performed on psychedelics, I think it kind of speaks for itself, because they have these amazing transcendent moments. Well, how are they getting there? It's this intersection of flow and psychedelics, really. And so, yeah, food for thought. Just thought I'd drop that on your lap. Hope that's interesting. Maybe if you've never experienced flow, this is something for you to kind of pursue and look at in terms of like something that will make life more juicy, more alive feeling for you, more rewarding for you. And then perhaps if you use psychedelics in general for your own growth and healing and well-being, this would be something you might want to explore. What's something you can do that generates a flow state that that if you played with on psychedelics, once you got comfortable doing it, might yield some sort of a really profound breakthrough for you. So, without further ado, I'm going to leave that question in your lap, let you stew on it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Much love to you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.